We're known for the way I talk. We're known for building some pretty big things around here. It's been there a while, but it's huge. That's why today we're going to look at what's potentially one of the... Oh, crap. You guys aren't supposed to see this. So we're known for building some pretty big PCs. As you can see with Skunkworks over there. That's why today we're going to take a look at what's probably one of the smallest gaming PCs that you can buy today. Today's video is sponsored by EVGA and the EVGA Elite Member Program. Save money through exclusive Elite Member-only discounts on select hardware, and make money with the EVGA Associate Program by earning commissions on sales by sharing your code with others. Elite members also enjoy 24-hour early access to new EVGA products to either purchase or enter the queue for purchase, and yes, that includes graphics cards. To see all ways to enter this free EVGA Elite Member Program and its constantly expanding benefits, follow the sponsored link in the description below. Yes, we do have a Gundam themed build coming up, but we'll talk more about that later. What I have right here is something that was sent to me by Minis Forum. This is the Desk Mini. What we have right here is an extremely compact form factor computer. And usually I turn these down and don't really review these types of products because what you often find is that yeah, they'll have a VESA mount, you can mount it to the back of TVs and stuff, and they make a really good like media unit, maybe something that connects to like a Plex server or something and can play generic. And I'm sorry if you hear a buzzsaw out there, they're still working in the alley. I can't do anything about that, so we have to just suck it up and move forward. But what I started to say here is they make good like connection PCs, if that makes sense. You can connect them to a network or connect them to some sort of a mainframe. You haven't heard that in a while, huh? Or a hub, where this just kind of takes a signal from somewhere else, decodes it into H.264 and then displays something. But this, no. That's not what this is. This is a full-on computer. In fact, the specs on this are pretty dang impressive. So is the packaging. This is all really soft foam. The aesthetics on this are already pretty pleasing. It looks like metal, but it's not. It's plastic. It's just got kind of a dusted finish to it. It looks very impressive. You can see we've got ventilation on the side here, ventilation on the side there. Here's our inputs. You can see we've got our power button. We've got our microphone jack, headphone jack, two USB 3.0s, and a USB-C. And then on the back side, we have, interestingly enough, a 2.5 gigabit LAN, a standard LAN, 4 more USB 3.0s, a full-size HDMI, a power port, and a full-size DisplayPort and a Kensington lock. So what I'm looking for with this is to see if this would make a very good multimedia PC consumption computer where you can do streaming like Netflix or Discovery Plus or maybe even streaming from another Steam machine you have somewhere in your house. You could take a more powerful computer and play games through your network on a different computer at another location where all this has to do is decode a video signal and then obviously send your signal back and forth for your inputs on your controller and stuff. So we'll test that out. And then in terms of connectivity, you get some different mounting options here. We got a mounting bracket. This is a bracket that mounts to the back to turn it into a VESA mount. So by default, you could actually wall hang this if you wanted. Or you can mount the VESA mount to the back of it, put it on the back of a TV or a monitor, like I said. So if you had a standard monitor with a VESA on the back with an arm that didn't interfere, it could be on the back of that, or on the back of a TV. And then you've got a pretty simple power plug here. Now I can already hear you yelling at your screen going, there's no way in heck that's gonna be able to do anything other than maybe watch some YouTube videos or something. These mini PCs are always terrible because they don't have a discrete GPU. Well, let's talk about the specs because what they've crammed in here is actually pretty impressive. First of all, it's running an AMD Ryzen 7 4800U. That is a 16 thread CPU with 8 physical cores. With that, it's also got Radeon graphics because it is an APU. So you are going to be able to, if you followed AMD's APU technology, you know that you're already going to be able to play a lot of games at 1080p, low settings, and be able to have a decent gaming experience. We're going to be testing that 1080p today. But it's also got 16 gigabytes, two 8 gigabyte DIMMs of SODIMM memory. So yes, it's laptop memory. It's the only way you'd be able to fit it in a package that's so tiny like this. But you got 16 gigabytes of it. So already you have 8 cores, 16 threads, and 16 gigabytes of RAM. It's also got an M.2 storage drive in here, so it's got a 256 gig SSD M.2. It's got Wi-Fi 6 built in, as well as provisions for a 2.5 inch SSD. But it's also running Windows 10 Pro. So as you can see, extremely compact. It's also got the mounts like I already showed you. So there's a lot of things that you're gonna be able to do with this, and we're gonna test that. So I'm gonna open it up first because I wanna see what you're able to do when it comes to expandability in here. I'm curious if the SODIMMs are soldered in. I doubt they are, but I more importantly want to take a look at those storage solutions to see how that can be expanded. So to open this up, I'm going to be using our iFixit Moray. You guys can get your very own, link down below. Father's Day is coming up. It's how I got my very first one, and it led to this amazing sponsorship with iFixit. So if you want to get an iFixit kit for someone that you care about in your life, or just because of Father's Day or whatever, that made it sound like you don't care about your dad. If you love your dad, get him an iFixit kit, link down below. Okay, so let's go ahead. Wow, that was bad. So taking it apart seems pretty simple. You just got 4 screws right here on the corner. The only downside about this being AMD though and not Intel is that means it doesn't have Thunderbolt, because I think it would have been amazing if you could have hooked an eGPU up to this. Would be like immediate upgrade to graphics. However, the eGPU enclosure would be far bigger than this thing itself, which would kind of make it, I guess, a little bit useless at that point. Spudger tool.
You're a spudger.
You're a Spudnik. Ow, pinching finger. Ow, 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 ow. Oh, there we go. All right, so there we go. Oh, wow, check that out. The M.2 even has a heatsink on it. So with M.2, the hotter it gets, the slower it gets. So it's really important to be able to keep it as cool as possible. Here's your SODIMM memory. Teardowns are important because they tell the whole story about what's going on in the thing. I'm curious as what the heatsink is going to be on this, because again, heat on a system like this is going to be your biggest enemy. Okay, well, we can't get it all the way out. Oh, it does have a fan. Look at that. Okay, I thought it was passively cooled. I correct myself. That's pretty awesome already. Yeah, we're not gonna take it all the way out, but that is awesome. I love the fact that there's a fan in there. There, you can see it better now. That makes me feel a whole lot better. So when it comes to mounting in here your SSDs, you get this bracket right here, which is what holds them down to this little cage. So you take this guy, it mounts right to this. It's a flexible ribbon cable. You can then take this. Here's this is gonna snap in there like that, or probably go this way. And then you take this guy, you mount it down like that, and then these ribbon cables go right in these guys right here. So you got a ribbon cable here and a ribbon cable connector there, and there. So then you would mount it back down like that. So I'm not gonna actually mount this SSD in there, but that's how you could add technically 4 more terabytes if you wanted by getting 2 2-terabyte SSDs, or I guess you could get 2 4-terabyte SSDs and have 8 terabytes in there. But you can see right there, that's how you can add 2 more SSDs. So that is really cool and really well thought out. But by default, this says it has a 256 gigabyte SSD. I'm really glad I decided to take a look at this because I feel like things have progressed with this whole tiny PC concept than the last time I looked at one of these. All right, so we're all hooked up. We've got ourselves an external drive plugged in through USB 3.0. This already has our games on it. We're just saving ourselves some downloads. But if anything, this is probably gonna be a little bit slower than if we had used the internal like we had. So let's go ahead and see what the boot time is like on this. Phil can put a little timer up starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Now, because it is an SSD, I don't expect it to be super slow. Also too, we have already booted this once because it had to finish the Windows startup because it was the first time it was booted. And it's got an M.2 SSD in there, so I expect it to go pretty quickly. Also too, we're using our Nixius 1080p monitor, not the best looking monitor and it's kind of dirty, but again, I think we're targeting 1080p for any sort of gaming here. That's that. So here's the thing. The last time I've taken a look at something that was tiny like this was the old B-Box from ASRock, and it was not a good experience. I feel like things have definitely gotten faster and more compact, which has allowed a system like this to even exist here. All right, so we do have it set to high performance mode because the nice thing about this is the fact that this is a desktop PC and it is on a power brick and it does have active cooling. I can put this on high performance, which is gonna let the boost clocks on the CPU stay higher. So in terms of the CPU, you can see here if we go to performance, it's running essentially the same clocks you would see it running on your desktop. There's 4 gigs right there. So it's essentially running the same clocks you would see on your desktop, like a full tower. So that's already amazing to see. The RAM on this is actually 3200 megahertz. There it is right there. 3200 megahertz RAM. I thought this was gonna be like 2666 or something like that. So 3200 megahertz RAM, which is important on this system because of the fact that it is using 7.7 gigabytes of shared system memory for the APU plus 512 megabytes of dedicated system memory, or dedicated GPU memory. So the faster you can transfer that data between the CPU RAM or the system RAM and the APU, the better the performance is going to be when it comes to the APU. So yeah, that's already really snappy. Now, one of the things I want to point out here, if we just kind of look at general usage, is how snappy the system is. And I've talked about it in the past, the quickest way to make an old computer feel fast is to upgrade the storage to an SSD. And that was like SATA SSDs. Obviously this is M.2, so if we open up Edge, you can see that's very quick. Let's go to, I don't know, let's go to YouTube. Look how fast this is actually loading. Now, yes, we are plugged into 2.5 gigs. We do have a gigabyte or gigabit Ethernet here, so we're not even getting 2.5. Let's go to the greatest channel of all time, J's 2 cents. Look at this, how fast does things start to play here? 4K encoding, here we go. You see how fast that was? Now the difference between the old NUC type PC that we looked at in the past was it was running Intel. And we all know Intel's APUs absolutely suck. They're complete garbage. But it makes sense that Minisforum went with a Ryzen APU because of the fact that it's so freaking powerful. The 4800U is no joke. And the fact we've got new APUs coming out from AMD means systems like this are only gonna get more powerful. But let's see how skipping does here.
Career. Because we just scored it.
It's what? 2 seconds maybe of, okay, a second? This feels faster than many laptops that I've had because again, 8-core 16-thread with 16 gigabytes of 3200 megahertz memory makes this thing extremely snappy for general purpose, general use like this. So already, this is an amazing system if you want to use it just for like accessing a Plex server or just turning it into a multimedia machine. How about something like Netflix? Let's see. Okay, Car Masters, Rust to Riches. I don't think that's something that will get us flagged really quickly. Look how fast this sucker's playing. Look how fast that skips. All right, so already if you wanted to use this to turn it into some sort of a multimedia PC with that VESA mount, put it on the back of a TV, you now have a home theater PC that has a browser and everything attached to it that you could also use to browse the internet. So this is perfect if you have an older TV that obviously has HDMI input, but you want those smart features, the smart apps like Netflix and Discovery Plus and DataCamp and all that sort of stuff where you can actually go in here and make something smart with a PC like this. Let's go to the 2 episodes ahead. Jeez, this is fast. There's like no warmth coming out of there either. You can't hear it. Okay, I can hear you yelling at the screen. That's fine. Play some games. If you can't play some games, who cares? We're gonna do this in 2 different ways. We're gonna play it natively on the machine, and then we're also going to play it with Steam Share from my system inside of the editing room out here, which is that system's obviously it's a 5900X. It's got a RTX 3090, so it's clearly going to be no problem whatsoever. We're gonna check for like latency and stuff like that. Anyway, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and install Steam in real time. Look at how snappy the websites are. Okay, install Steam. This is real time, no cuts here, Phil. I want them to see just how snappy this computer is in real time usage. This is absolutely insane. Downloading an update. Phil can just blur the screen when it comes to my credentials. You know the most annoying thing about Steam is like you can be on there and shut it down and then turn it right back on and it's like updating Steam. It's like, what are you updating? Nothing happened. All right, so there we go. It should pop up here any second. I'm gonna close OneCloud or OneDrive. Everyone should just uninstall OneDrive. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, so it took longer for the email to come in. All right, so here's Steam. Let's go ahead now and add our game library here. Downloads, Steam libraries, add a library, D, Steam library 480, select, close, boom, boom, and there's our games. How about we start with some Doom Eternal? Everything's an ultra nightmare. Should we just start on Ultra Nightmare? Dude, everything is just in the red. But it's giving us 52 FPS in the menu. All right, we can't do that. We're gonna go ahead and
Try it, though.
start with medium. Okay, so we are at 1080p. Dynamic resolution is on, so that means it's downscaling and then upscaling to 1080p. You know what though? Oh wait, I forgot that button. Oh, that's not it. Dude, this is doing better than I'm expecting. I mean, sure, the numbers are not great, but this is actually, whoops, I'm missing. It's actually doable. Okay, so I mean, obviously this is not, you know, a 3090 or anything like that. This is playable, holy crap. Well, that was a big stutter. Let's remind ourselves, there is no graphics card in this system. Staying consistently in the upper 40s, low 50s on FPS. All right, so I'm dead, but you know what's not? This computer. Dude, it's like lukewarm, if that. Like not even hot. So it's pretty obvious now that you can play Doom Eternal. Let's move on to a title now like Dirt Rally 2.0, something that's a little bit more CPU intensive. Okay, so this is Dirt Rally 2.0. You can see we've got the Radeon graphics overlay going right now. GPUs utilize 100%, FPS is at 47. This is the kind of game that I'm not entirely sure how well this is gonna go with this FPS, but we'll try it. This is also a title I have on my, look, there's no shadows or anything. It looks so weird. This is also a title I have on my other computer. It looks like it's floating. Like, were the wheels even turning?
Good luck.
Who cares what the outside looks like? This is what I care about.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, wow. 51 FPS?
Into 6 left over crest, extra long, 60. Keep right of a crest, caution slow, keep right of a 50, turn, 1 left.
I know, right?
C. 120. Flat crest, 50.
It's like locked at 50. Oh, 57 right there.
Keep right into caution, 6 left over long of a jump, tight 4. Into 3 right long, opens of a crest.
This is actually doing really well. Holy cow. My driving could use some work,
6
but...
left of a crest, extra long, 80.
Oh, there's a... I wasn't listening! Ah!
30, crest, 6
I was so busy looking at the FPS and stuff.
jumps, and 6 right long, opens of a
Ooh, that was a perfectly timed jump.
extra long, tightens 5.
Oh, that's... Oh! We're good. We're good.
Right to the crest, narrow, 70.
The shadows are also really jittery, but you know what? I'm playing a game, and it didn't require a GPU. I'm 46 seconds behind the stage leader, but whatever. Oh! Yeah!
Oh, nice barrel roll.
Barrel roll! He said bump, and he wasn't kidding. Okay. It's turning itself, dude. Yeah, let's see how this does now over in-home streaming. All right, so second use case scenario here, you put this in another room, you want to be able to play games and stuff, but you don't want to put a gaming computer in there. You don't want to have 2 high-powered gaming computers when one can do the job of streaming to another. So now we're going to pretend this is in our living room. We're now playing on a system in another area of the house that is Ethernet connected, which is going to give us the best latency. And we are now firing this up on the system in the other room. And basically all this computer is going to be doing now is handling the input of the controller, or keyboard and mouse, and it's going to be decoding a video signal while that's going to be rendering it in much higher resolution. So now this doesn't have to do anything except decode video, very similar to what you saw with the Netflix. And with how fast that went, this should go very, very well. In terms of settings, we have this limited to 50 megabit, obviously because we have gigabit connection here, so that should be plenty. We also have it set 4K in there, downsampling to 1080p here. Hopefully it shouldn't give us too many fuzzies while we're moving fast. This is the kind of game where a bad bit rate will definitely show up because of how fast you're moving. That's not terrible. I mean, it's playable, obviously. Also, too, we're not showing the overlay because the APU here is obviously doing nothing. It doesn't even show an FPS number. It just says NA. Because this is it. Oh, geez. Oh, that was a sudden stop. Let's try that again. Now that I've said all that, I'm just going to drive. Oh. I'm really bad at this rally stuff. It's working pretty well. Once I got adjusted to the latency, there is a little bit of latency over the stream, obviously, but it's way sharper and looks way better. Oh, that's a big tire. It looks way better than it did at low, obviously native. So I would play this game this way rather than natively at low. I mean, especially since it's more than capable of doing the in-home stream. Barrel roll. Yay! Oh, that's a big jump. Oh, trees. Oh, God, another jump. All right, let's talk about use case scenarios as we wrap this up. First and foremost, the form factor makes this the absolute no-brainer type of PC if you want to turn any TV into a gaming station as well. I say gaming station because of Steam and in-home streaming, like you saw, we could take any powerful PC and play it anywhere that this is connected. Now, because it's got full-size DisplayPort, means you can hook it up to monitors and get your high refresh rate. We were running this at 144 the whole time. And we have our HDMI, which allows us to hook it up to our TVs. Now, the cool thing about this is that VESA mount mounted to the back of the TV makes the most sense for taking an old TV that doesn't have smart apps built in, like we see on modern TVs. If you've got one that's before Netflix being pre-installed on these TVs like LG, Samsung, whatever else, you could turn them into a home theater PC or home theater smart TV by just plugging this in and then going to the input for there, going to the browser and running Netflix like you saw us do. The funny thing is, more often than not, you'll actually get better fidelity on going to the browser for Netflix and getting true streaming 4K connected to a TV this way than you actually would in some of the built-in streaming apps. It depends on the TV, obviously, but if you can't stream it, period, no matter what you can get on there, it's going to be better than what you got now. Now, in terms of gaming, this has plenty of power to be able to play your esports titles with the APU that's built in here. The 4800U is a newer APU than we've seen with like the 3200G and 3400G, but with the newer 5000 series APUs coming out in the future, you can expect to see stuff like this in the future get upgrades where they're going to be more powerful. Anything based on RDNA APU technology is going to be better than anything based on Radeon Graphics or Vega. So you're going to see small form factor computers like this. I don't even like to call this small form factor. This is straight up mini PC. I mean, it's even in the name, Desk Mini. But 16 gigabytes of system RAM running at 3200 megahertz, 8 cores, 16 threads means this is also a very usable computer for things like homework, work, even video editing if you wanted on this. Now, some of the playback might suffer a little bit because of the APU, so you might have to reduce some of the resolutions when it comes to your editing timeline. However, rendering on this would be absolutely fantastic. It's going to be better than the old PC that we showed. In fact, when we were showing us playing on a 10-year-old PC, this is faster than that computer in every way, with the exception of the graphics, simply because it does not have a discrete GPU. And because we don't have access to Thunderbolt, we can't hook an eGPU up to it either. But that's the kind of thing you trade off for a computer like this. So my mind is kind of blown by how well this did. Not only did it perform well, it stayed extremely cool. I had expected there to be a lot of warm air just blowing out the sides of this, but there's really not. In fact, if you look at the overlay while we were playing, the temperatures actually stayed really, really cool, considering the fact that the CPU and the GPU are inside the same heat spreader and are being handled by this one small, very small, low-profile heatsink with an active cooling fan on there. Not to mention, you can't hear it. It makes zero sound. So, do me a favor, if you're interested in something like this, sound off in the comments below how you would use this. I feel like the use cases for this are almost endless just because of its portability. And if you guys are interested in learning more about the Minis Forum Desk Mini, we'll put a link down in the description below where you guys can go and check it out. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I feel like this was a cool alternative video considering the fact that it's not about a bunch of things you can't buy, but it is something that truly shocked us when it came to performance. the snappiness of just operating and moving around Windows and having system program files and programs just pop up instantly because of the M.2, and obviously the CPU is no slouch whatsoever, made this feel like we were using a big computer. And that's what makes this absolutely fantastic. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Sign up in the comments below how you feel about this particular mini PC. And as always, we will see you guys in the next one.